Donald Trump has announced that he will dismantle the education department. He's getting rid of the fat. And hey, Elon's not even in there yet.
And one other thing I'll be doing very early in the administration is closing up the Department of Education in Washington, D.C., and sending all education and education work and needs back to the states. We want them to run the education of our children.
It makes sense, right? Because if you believe in a decentralized government, if you believe in the power to the people and the power to the states, then they should have the right to dictate the future of their kids and their educations. Anyway, that's a big move from Donald Trump today, announcing that he is going to dismantle the Department of Education. In the meantime, he did come out and also say he was announcing Elise Stefanik, she's the congresswoman from New York, to go in as head of NATO. That's a big deal because Elise takes no prisoners. Remember what happened to Claudine Gay over at Harvard University? That was short-lived. Her tenure there as the first female black president of Harvard University. Elise, who also went to Harvard, really took her down because of this sort of self-righteous, okay, freedom of speech for these people, but no freedom of speech for you. And of course, all the troubles that were happening on campus. Elise Stefanik going in as head of or UN, I should say, the UN ambassador to NATO. So that's a big deal. Look at all these good things. I mean, it's like one thing after another. You get the stock market at a record high. We're upwards of 44,000. You get a migrant caravan over at the border dissolving, Hamas calling for the end of the war. Bitcoin hitting, a record high. This is crazy. We were watching Bitcoin over the weekend. My colleague over at 76 Research, by the way, go to 76research.com. Use code word dollar, sign up, guys. Try and get one of those model portfolios. I think it's an extra $22 a month. It's really, as I look at Bitcoin, this is something that we came out actually and told you about some time ago. It's up, it's up another 7.5% today, $86,000 a coin. I believe we were trying to get you somewhat tuned in when it was significantly lower, somewhere in the 60s. So it's been quite a rally there for Bitcoin. You've got Qatar coming out and saying to the Hamas leaders, bye-bye. You've got Putin saying he's going to sell oil in U.S. dollars. U.S. says it's not going to buy Russian gas. China says it wants to work on things peacefully. This is good, right? This is good. Ridiculously good. It's like everything that was bad has suddenly gone away, and we have a shot at getting a clean slate and doing some real good things. And that is the MAGA effect. That is the Trump effect. That is the idea that you get a new sheriff in town and that we're not going to be a bunch of pansies and roll over, play dead, and that, you know what, you're going to have to work with us here because he's got the threat of tariffs and he's got the threat of doing a lot of stuff, right? A lot of stuff. And so you're seeing this response. A lot of people thought, the market would crash somehow. You had some economists out there predicting, it's going to be the end of the world. Paul Krugman said that more than once, Princeton guy who writes for the New York Times. And look, you know what? It's hardly the end of the world. It's like it's the start of the world. You've got a market that is on fire. Happy Veterans Day, by the way, to everybody. Happy Veterans Day. My dad was in Vietnam, and my father-in-law was actually in World War II and then in the Korean War. So I have a lot of respect. I have a lot of respect for our veterans, and I want to say thank you for all you have done. This day is for you in a way, if you think about it. We need this in America. We need to make sure that we stay prosperous and we stay secure. And our military is key to that. And your sacrifice, in many cases, unfortunately, the ultimate sacrifice is so key to that. And this is why we need to do everything that we can to protect ourselves from getting into that situation to begin with. But there are a lot of people out there predicting that the market would absolutely tank if Donald Trump were elected. And guess what, guys? We're seeing exactly the opposite. As I said, Bitcoin at 86,000. You get the Dow upwards of 44,000. Everything rallying right now. Why? Because there's a chance for some really good stuff. And don't we need good stuff now? I'd say we do.